Nobody becomes unstoppable overnight. Not the person you're thinking of right now, the one whose life looks like the result of some extraordinary gift or lucky break or moment of sudden transformation. Look closer at almost any person who has built something genuinely remarkable, and you will find the same thing underneath the visible achievement. A set of daily behaviors so ordinary, so unglamorous, so consistently repeated that most people walk right past them without recognizing what they're looking at. The secret to becoming unstoppable is not a secret. It is a practice. And it is available to almost anyone willing to do something that turns out to be surprisingly rare. Show up the same way, every day, regardless of how you feel about it. Here's the first thing that separates the people who become unstoppable from the people who remain stuck at the edge of what they could be. They have removed motivation from the equation entirely. Most people operate on a model that goes like this. When I feel motivated, I work. When I do not feel motivated, I rest, or scroll, or wait for the feeling to return. This model feels reasonable. It feels honest. Why force something that is not there? But it contains a fundamental misunderstanding of how motivation actually works. Motivation does not precede action, it follows it. The people who become unstoppable discovered this, some through deliberate study, most through years of showing up and noticing that the feeling of wanting to work almost always arrived after they had already started, never before. They stopped waiting for the feeling. They started treating work the way they treated breathing, not something they did when they felt like it, but something that simply happened because it was time. This is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. The second habit is protection of the first hours. Without exception, the people who build something significant over time are deliberate, almost fierce, about what happens at the beginning of their day. Not because morning is magical, but because the beginning of the day is the only time that reliably belongs to you before the world begins making its demands. What they do in those hours varies. Some write, some exercise, some sit in silence. Some work on the thing they care most about before they open a single message or notification from anyone else. The specific activity is less important than what it represents. A daily declaration that their priorities come before everyone else's agenda for them. Most people begin their day by immediately responding to the world. Their first act is reactive, checking what they missed, answering what was asked, attending to what someone else decided was urgent. The people who become unstoppable begin their day by creating. Their first act is generative. And that difference, repeated every day for years, compounds into something that looks from the outside like an impossible gap in output. The third habit is the deliberate confrontation with discomfort. Every person who has built something remarkable has a practice, formal or informal, of regularly doing something difficult. Not difficult in a productive way necessarily. Difficult in the sense of uncomfortable, resisted, the kind of thing the mind generates 100 reasons to defer. Cold exposure. Difficult conversations held immediately rather than postponed. Physical training that goes past the point of comfort. Creative work started before it feels ready. The mechanism here is not discipline in the way most people think of it. It is desensitization. Every time you do the hard thing and survive it, the hard thing becomes slightly less hard. The threshold for what feels manageable rises. And when the genuinely difficult moments come, the professional crisis, the creative failure, the period where nothing is working and quitting would be entirely rational, the person who has been training their tolerance for discomfort daily has a resource that no amount of talent or intelligence can substitute for. They have evidence. Evidence from their own life that discomfort is survivable, that the other side of it exists, that they have been there before and returned. The fourth habit is the ruthless elimination of the unnecessary. Unstoppable people are not busy in the way most people are busy. They are focused in a way that makes most people uncomfortable. Because focus at the level required to build something significant requires saying no to things that look reasonable, declining opportunities that seem good, disappointing people who expected more of your time and attention. Every yes to something that does not move the central work forward is a no to something that does. The people who become unstoppable understand this not as a philosophy, but as a daily arithmetic. Time and energy are finite. What they are spent on determines everything, and the willingness to protect that arithmetic against social pressure, against the pull of distraction, against the reasonable-sounding requests that accumulate into a life spent on other people's priorities is one of the rarest and most consequential habits a person can develop. The fifth habit is the review. At the end of each day, each week, each significant period, the people who become unstoppable look back. Not to celebrate or to punish, but to calibrate. What worked, what did not. What they said they would do and did not do, and why. What they noticed about how they spent their time versus how they intended to spend it. Most people live their lives forward without ever fully examining them. The unstoppable ones treat their own behavior as data, something to be studied, adjusted, improved with the same seriousness they would bring to any other system they were trying to optimize. This is not obsession, it is stewardship. The recognition that the life you are building is the most important project you will ever work on, and that important projects deserve serious attention. None of these habits are extraordinary. That is the point. They are ordinary behaviors, repeated with extraordinary consistency over periods of time that most people are not willing to commit to before they can see the result. The result is always invisible for longer than feels fair. And then, one day, it is not.